On the heels of a stacked UFC 266 card, I'm joined by UFC President Dana White. Now, before we get to this weekend's card, tonight is the UFC Hall of Fame induction, and I'd be remiss if I don't mention perhaps the greatest fighter of all time, definitely the greatest Canadian fighter of all time, Georges St-Pierre, being inducted into the UFC Hall of Fame. What did he mean for Canada and the growth of mixed martial arts in this country?
Oh, it was massive, for Georges St-Pierre to be where he was when we were just getting into that country. It's unexplainable. He blew up. He was huge. We were getting sanctioned at the same time and all the different provinces up there. And it was a great time for the sport up there. It was fun. I had a lot of fun going up there to all the different cities. And every time we went there, they'd sell out immediately. And it was a pretty special time.
Now, you've had guys like Tom Wright and Dave Shaw, who's still with the UFC, working to get it legalized in the different provinces of Canada. How important do you think it was for Georges St-Pierre to be the kind of sportsman that he was? He was a gentleman. He really shone a positive light on mixed martial arts. Without George, do you think it takes longer to get these fights sanctioned in the different provinces?
Well, I think that's the way it's gone. If you look at what Chuck Liddell and Matt Hughes did in the United States, then you had Georges St-Pierre up in Canada. What Ronda Rousey did for women, in the UFC, what Conor McGregor has done for Europe and other parts of the world. That's really how it works.
Main event this Saturday, UFC 266. Volkanovski defending his title against Ortega, the longest layoff of Volkanovski's mixed martial arts career. I'll tell you what intrigued me the most about this fight. We have never seen Ortega get stopped inside the distance in terms of a KO or submission. It was a doctor stoppage. The only KO that Volkanovski suffered was 8 years ago, fighting up 2 weight classes at 170 pounds. It's hard to envision either of these guys losing inside the distance or losing a decision because we just haven't seen it. So it makes it so hard to figure out what's going to happen in this fight.
I know. It's such a fun fight. Literally 2 of the baddest featherweights in the world going at it. We wanted to see it a while ago. We got the small stint on The Ultimate Fighter, which, they got under each other's skin even more, which makes the fight that much more exciting.
We've got Max Holloway waiting in the wings. A lot of people believe he should be next in line for a featherweight title shot regardless of what happens. Last time we spoke, you talked about Yair Rodriguez and Max Holloway being rebooked for November. Is that fight still happening?
I don't know. We're working on a lot of things here. Upcoming fights that are happening, let's stay away from that. We're booked up to Madison Square Garden right now, and we're trying to figure out the rest.
It seems like there's a lot of moving parts in terms of the main events. I know Miesha Tate is out of her fight. As I mentioned, this Holloway Rodriguez fight, I know you guys were targeting the middle of November. So is it just kind of one of those situations now where you're looking to fill spots?
No, it's, if you look at, the fight business is tough as it is, with all the things that can happen. And then you look at what's happened over the last 2 years, visas, borders shut down, COVID, the list goes on and on. It's just that much more difficult.
Now, a year ago, if you would have asked me, I would have said featherweight was one of the most intriguing divisions in the UFC. There were so many contenders, and it's such a murderer's row of fighters in this top 15. But the problem is they keep beating each other. And the only guy that's really risen above the rest of them is Max Holloway. Zabeet Magomedsharipov. We don't know what's going on with him right now. Who are some of the contenders that you think have stepped up in the featherweight division?
Yeah, you're still right. You got Max Holloway, the Ortega fight. We'll see how that plays out with Volkanovski. You still got Yair. The zombie is always game. So the top, the champion and the top 4 guys are nasty.
Is there an update on Zabeet? Have you heard anything from his team?
No. Listen, you know how I am with that stuff, man. We're here. When you're ready to fight, you let us know.
Train's always leaving the station, so you got to get on it. I understand. Nick Diaz. This is the most intriguing fight of the card, in my opinion. And I think one of the most intriguing fights the UFC's done in a while because there are just so many unknowns about it. Hasn't fought in 6+ years. But suddenly this fight's a middleweight fight. You've got 2 of his training partners, Nick Maximov and Martin Sano, who have never fought in the UFC prior to this. Is this just what comes with the territory when you're booking such an enigmatic guy like Nick Diaz? Yeah,
I think everybody knows or doesn't know what to expect when you have one of the Diaz brothers fighting on the card. He approached us a while ago and let us know that he wanted to come back and wanted to fight. We offered him a fight. He signed the bout agreement. He trained, he went into camp, and here we are. I don't know what's going to happen the rest of this week or how it's going to play off, but like I always say about the Diaz brothers, He'll be there on Saturday, and he will fight.
Now, this is one of those ones where some stressful things I'm sure are going to happen along the way. As I mentioned, it's now a middleweight fight. How did that come about?
That's what he called and asked if he could move it to middleweight. Robbie Lawler was in the air when this went down, waited for him to land. He was not happy about it, but Robbie Lawler's a fighter. He's game, so he agreed to it.
Yeah, the point he made is that he was working so hard to get his body down to make 170 pounds, and now suddenly doesn't need to worry about that anymore. He's not as big as I guess he would have liked to be.
Right. Well, that's true. I mean, he landed at 182. So if that wasn't the case, he probably would have landed at 90-something.
So I mentioned Maximov and Martin Sano. Both of these guys trained with Nick Diaz. When you negotiated with Nick Diaz to come back, was that part of the parcel?
Yeah, he had a couple buddies he wanted to have fight too.
Valentina Shevchenko seems almost unbeatable at flyweight. It's been some time since she's really faced a challenge in this division. Facing Lauren Murphy, who certainly has earned her spot. She only has one loss since the flyweight division started. So it's nice to see her step up. But if Valentina does get another win, how soon are we going to see a Shevchenko-Nunes trilogy fight? It seems like people are getting hungrier and hungrier for it as these two women continue to dominate their divisions.
That's what I like. I mean, the more hungry people get, the more they want to see it. The more it makes me want to make it. So if she wins and Amanda beats Pena, and they're both into it, I'm interested in talking about it.
So we're inching closer, in other words, because we keep seeing these women beat fighters that they've never fought before as well. Like you got Pena, Nunes never fought Pena before. Murphy's a fresh challenger, and then we're just starting to run out of fresh challengers.
Yeah, listen, there's always challenges. I mean, we've said that before about Anderson Silva at 185 pounds when he was dominant. When somebody's as dominant as these two are, that's what you always. But there's always going to be a challenger.
Do you worry that they get bored, and that's why you want to match them up? A lot of people are saying Shevchenko is the greatest female fighter of all time, but I look at her resume, and she has 2 losses to Nunes, so it's hard to say that, but I'm sure she would like to get a win over Nunes so she can enter that conversation.
There's no doubt that Nunes is the greatest female fighter of all time. I mean, there's absolutely no doubt or no question about it. And there's no doubt that Valentina is also one of the greatest female fighters of all time. So to do them again is, it makes sense. Nunes has 2 wins. Usually when somebody has 2 on somebody, you don't do it again, but that one's just so interesting.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Nasrat Haqparast taking on Dan Hooker. A lot of hurdles for this particular fight as well. Nasrat unfortunately lost his mother, went to Germany, and as a result of that, some visa issues arose. Those have since seemingly been taken care of. Same with Dan Hooker, who also had some visa issues last week. So this fight looks like it's going to happen. My question about it is, why not make it a catchweight? I know you hate catchweight fights when you've got guys that are ranked, but these are kind of extenuating circumstances.
Yeah, nobody asked me to make it a catchweight.
Well, that's great news, I guess. I mean, these guys are Dan Hooker. I can't think of another guy who's wanted to fight as much as this guy does. He's just obviously these hurdles are being put in front of him from New Zealand, but he wants to get on that plane. He said he'd fight anybody on this card, and here we are. But so neither of them have asked for any sort of weight allowances.
Nope. You're the only one that's worried about it. You're the only one that's asked.
I'm not worried about it. I'm just curious. Like I said, these guys are still in the air. They haven't even landed in Vegas yet, as far as I know.
And no, these guys are absolute studs, man. They're going through all this stuff, and they're still going to fight on Saturday. So, yeah, much respect to both of them.
You've talked about the stare down that happened this week with Canelo and Caleb Plant. I know that obviously that could have been handled a lot better, but when situations like that happen, do promoters like it because it brings attention to the sport, or do you think that whenever these things happen, it shines a negative light on that particular sport?
Yeah, no, it's not even that shined a negative light on the sport. It's listen, we're in the tough business. We're in a mean business where guys are. You don't ever let 2 alpha males get face to face without somebody there to at least attempt to control it and stop it. What it does is one guy got punched in the face and was cut. The other problem is that people don't. It becomes assault when it's not done in a sanctioned event, between 2 professional athletes. And when you're running an organization and you're so stupid that you're going to let 2 guys get face to face like that before a fight, you're also jeopardizing the fight being postponed or canceled or whatever. It's an amateur move on the part of Showtime.
Now, I'll preface this by saying that the UFC always has someone in the middle. But we had that situation with Jeremy Stevens and Drakkar Klose earlier in the year. Are you guys starting to button down on that a little bit more and put more of a hardline stance on any sort of physical interactions prior to the fight, really?
We do. We always do. But you have these guys. These people are fighters. This is what they do. They're agitated. They've been away from their families. They've been cutting weight. They're ready to fight. Things were said that made them mad or upset, or things are said at that time that upset them. Whatever's going on in their head, that's always the case. And you have to try to manage the situations that can arise from these guys, not just getting face to face in front of the whole world, but being backstage and lots of other things. There's tons of stuff that goes on that you guys don't even know about that we have to manage.
I want you to peel back the curtain on something for me. You always say, what you know about this business is what I tell you about this business. So I'm going to ask you about a facet of the business that we don't hear about very often, which is how the cards are structured. People are always saying this guy should be fighting higher. This is a higher ranked thing, blah, blah, blah. How does this all come together when you're building a card and you decide what the first fight of the night is, what the prelims headliner is, the co-main event, what's going to be on the main card? How do you guys decide on that? What sort of metrics are taken into account?
We can watch the numbers on these different fighters minute to minute, whether it's on a fight night or a contender series or whatever it might be. We know who needs to go where. But when it comes to making fights, I mean, in the perfect world, you want an Alexander Volkanovski versus Brian Ortega in every fight. You have two of the absolute best featherweights in the world facing off in their prime, for a world title. You want the best versus the best at the perfect time in their careers when you make a fight. But that doesn't always work out. People have, personal issues, personal problems, timing issues, whatever it might be. So you do the best you can.
So I watched this Men's Health piece on your home and your home gym and the foods you like to eat. I learned we have something in common. We both hate peppers and onions. So it's not our workout regimen that we have in common, as I'm sure you could probably guess, but onions and peppers we both don't like. I did want to ask you about one thing there. You glossed over it. You're going through your gym and you go, oh yeah, this is my LED bed. I can't even find information on an LED bed. What is an LED bed? It's been bothering me all day.
So it's supposedly, when you lay in this LED bed, it's supposed to be good for your skin and your body and all this stuff. I don't know if it's true. I don't know, but it's a big deal. A lot of people are actually using those right now.
And we also learned that the reason you work out is so that you can indulge. You have your F-It Friday, I will say, for the courtesy of my network. And you guys are putting a show on the Food Network. So what's this show going to be about? It's just going to be you eating all kinds of indulgent foods?
Yeah, it's basically a longer version of the F-It Friday show that we do on Instagram. More of a I'm going to travel to different places for the fights. We want to build it around the fights. So we're talking even about having a F-It Friday food festival as part of Fan Village at the events.
I think what you need to do is have fans just draw tasty things out of a hat. Like you got Skittles, Cinnamon Toast Crunch, waffles, and you just kind of mix it all together. And a fan gets to just choose weird stuff for you to eat, and you just do that.
Yeah, you're not producing this show. That's for damn sure.
Well, you'd eat that though, right? If your chef came out and said, we got waffles with Cinnamon Toast Crunch and Skittles, you'd eat it, right?
Sure, I'd eat it.
I would too. Last thing I want to ask you, we're in the war room. I ask you this every single time. December, January, you want to throw something at me? What do we have on the wall?
December, January. Yeah, we're up to I don't know what's committed to and what's not. I don't want to throw anything. Obviously, did we announce the 11th yet?
Not the first one, but the other two.
Well, what's in the works?
We're working on Oliveira Poirier.
All right, cool. I can't wait for that. That's the fight that I'm most looking forward to this year. People are talking about Poirier Fighter of the Year, and they're talking about Usman. Charles Oliveira, where's the respect?
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, this guy's had an incredible run in what he's accomplished. But, I mean, when you talk about Usman, like you said, Usman is without a doubt the pound-for-pound best fighter in the world right now. I mean, when you look at what this guy has done and how he's done it, not just who he's fought, but what he's done to the people that he's fought. You know, Masvidal twice, Gilbert Burns, Colby Covington, Tyron Woodley, RDA, Maya, Leon Edwards. You know, pound for pound, best fighter in the world.
Well, we've got UFC 266 this weekend. We've got Contender Series on Tuesdays. Aaron Jeffrey's competing this week from Canada. You have 2 Canadians already signed. There's only one in the history of the show that's been signed to a contract. We've got 2 this season. Jasmine Jasudavicius, Chad Anheliger. What did you think of them?
Yeah, no, it was awesome. Listen, I love when we get some new Canadian talent, and I'm looking forward to Canada opening up again and us going up there and blowing the doors off that place like we used to.
Full arenas in Toronto for next season. I'm just saying, just putting it out there.
I love it. Well, you know us. If we're able to line it up and they're not booked, we'll be first.
All right, Dana. Appreciate that. Hope to see you in the Great White North in 2022. Looking forward to UFC 266. Thanks as always for your time.
All right, buddy. Have a good day.